Hey there, and welcome to episode 2 in our series on close reading strategies. Today we start to get into some of the acronyms, and you know me, I love a good acronym. But before we do that, I want to remind you that close reading, the definition of close reading is doing a second, more careful reading to try to understand, try to pick apart how and why a text works. And we're going to find out that in some ways that's easy as pie and a piece of cake right after the theme song. So yeah, I was not kidding in the intro when I said that these acronyms were going to be easy as pie and a piece of cake, because that's literally what I'm talking about. Down below in the description, I will put a link to downloadable, printable PDFs of these two strategies. But these, I do want to say that because we are talking about easy as pie and piece of cake, these are two very, very, very general ways to begin close reading. And I'm doing these right away at the beginning of this series on close reading because these are techniques that you can use if close reading and analysis are mostly or completely alien to you. If your teacher has never asked you to analyze or close read, or never explained to you how to do an analysis or a close reading, pie and cake are going to get you the first steps on that journey. They're not going to get you the world's most sophisticated analysis of some kind of argument or piece of literature, but pie and cake will get you going. Okay, so starting with pie, basically because it is an acronym, the P, the I, and the E, they all stand for something. The P in this case stands for persuade or persuading. The I stands for informing or informational, and the E stands for entertain or entertaining. Most of the texts that you read are going to fall primarily into one of those three categories. You're going to be reading it because they're trying to persuade you to do or to believe something. They're trying to inform you about something, define something for you, go through a process with you, or they're trying to entertain you. The best texts, the ones that kind of stand the test of time as literature, or that really stand out as informational texts that last, the best texts take from all three of those slices of the pie. But it is really in your best interest to identify this text that I'm reading, this text that you're reading, is it mostly to persuade, to inform, or to entertain? And where can I find evidence of that? What is the author saying that clearly makes this persuasive? What is the author saying that clearly makes this informative? What is the author doing that makes this entertaining? And if you've identified the slice of the pie that your text primarily fits into, go ahead and look for those other two places. Look for some places where there's information in a persuasive argument, or where something informative is also entertaining. Because no matter how unsophisticated you may think your analysis is going to be, if this is the very beginning, if pie is the only tool you have in your toolbox, you can actually write a pretty good analysis by saying, I think it's mostly informative because bum, 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 but on the other hand, it's also pretty entertaining because of dot, dot, dot. You can get something out of that. So use this pie graphic organizer to look for evidence, look for words, phrases, sentences, lines that are persuasive, or that are informative, or that are entertaining, and you can really use that to get a start on a basic analysis. So let's talk about cake. Cake is almost exactly like pie, at least in the close reading acronym sense, that foodstuffs, of course, nothing alike. Because cake, the letters in cake all stand for, again, particular kinds of writing. And cake is another good tool to use when you're really just getting your feet wet the first time with analysis or close reading, because cake takes you through, again, some of these very basic steps that authors take to make their texts work. And we'll start at the top with the letter C, where C stands for comparison. Now, obviously, that's going to call to mind a particular kind of essay called a comparison contrast. But there's a lot more to comparing than just a simple compare and contrast. For example, evaluating a text by comparing it against a set of criteria. That's a kind of comparison. Making an analogy as like part of an argument. That's a comparison. Even if an author is taking a moment to reflect on an experience, they're going to be comparing that experience to something else. A is for argument, or the P for persuasion, and pi. So all of those different kinds of argumentation that you might expect. Obviously, trying to persuade you to believe something or to do something differently. Arguments that make proposals. This is what we should do as a city, a state, a society. Arguments that take somebody else's idea and propose rebuttals to them. Any of those kinds of arguments, if you see evidence of those, you can write that down for A. K stands for kind. Now, I know that the C, A, K, and E, and even the P, I, and the E, they all stand for different kinds of writing. But what I mean here by kind in terms of cake is the author is telling you what kind of thing their subject is. These can be straightforward definitions of a term or an idea or a situation. They could be sort of classification. Here's a whole set of things, and where do these things fit? It can be about exemplars. The best guitar that you can buy is. Any of those things would fall under the category of kind. So when you see authors making these kinds of definitions or setting out these classifications, that's when you're going to go to K for kind. Which brings us to E for explanation. Pretty much any kind of cause and effect essay is a kind of explanation essay. A process essay, here's how you make the perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's an explanation. An analysis essay is a kind of explanation. And you can even have a narrative. Somebody's telling you a story in order to explain a point or something about their lives. Explanation. So pie and cake, these are not things that are going to blow away your college professors in terms of close reading and analysis. But these are really good, simple tools that you can use to get you started if you don't have anything else going on. Because you can always, at the very least, just sort of look at this text and you can figure out, is it persuasive, informative, and is it an explanation or an argument? And you can identify some elements within that really make sure that you can explain and defend your case. If you say it's an argument, you have the evidence for it. If you say it's informative, you have the evidence for it. So I really hope that right now here at the beginning of your journey on close reading, this is helpful to you. And we will get a little bit more complicated when I see you for the next one.